All right, let me talk about calorie counting for a minute, because calorie counting gets a bad rap. A lot of people talk about it like it's this, really intense, stressful thing that's really obsessive, and people talk about it like it's a negative thing. They don't want to do it. They find it too much, too stressful, too whatever, and they don't want to do it because it feels like it's just too extreme. And they're not exactly wrong, but also it's not quite the whole picture either, because calorie counting isn't something that you do for the rest of your life. It's really just something you do to help you get your diet under control. And then once you've got it under control, you can kind of leave it alone. And one of the best analogies I heard about it was from a fitness YouTuber called James Smith, where he said that, if you were struggling with your finances or having financial difficulties, you'd monitor your finances more. You look at, what you're spending, what you can cut down or what you can cut out, where you need to adjust things and stuff like that. But you'll take more note of your expenditure. And it's the same thing with calorie counting. If you find yourself in a situation where you don't really have your diet under control, whether you're eating too much or maybe eating too little, calorie counting is a way of monitoring what you're eating, when you're eating it, and learning more about what's in certain foods, because it's very easy to overeat when you don't know what you're eating. If you don't know a sandwich could be at the very minimum, 300 calories, right? If you don't know that and you're eating 3-4 sandwiches thinking it's fine, just in that you've eaten somewhere around 1,000 calories. That is half the recommended daily intake for most adults. And that is not going to fill you up for half the day. So I'm not saying don't eat sandwiches or don't eat 4 sandwiches even, but when you understand what you're eating, you can make these adjustments. Because the truth is, if your goal is to be healthier, you can eat anything you want. You just can't eat everything you want. And calorie counting is a way of understanding that better, because you'll know that this particular food has this many calories, this much protein, this much fat, sugar, etc., etc., etc. This has that much, this has that much. And once you've done it for a while, maybe 6 months or a year, or it could even be 2 or 3 months. But the point is, once you've done it for a while till you start to get an understanding of what exactly you're eating, you can pretty much just leave it alone and go from there. So it's not something that you just do and you never stop doing. You do it for a while, you gain that understanding of different types of foods, what's in them, when you need to be eating, how much you need to be eating. You'll be able to then adjust your portions accordingly, adjust the frequency accordingly. You'll know that if any particular day you ate too much, where you might need to make adjustments, or if you ate too little, where you might need to make adjustments. Once you've gotten that as an idea of what you're doing, after that, you can leave it alone, because it's not so much you need to make sure you eat exactly this amount of calories every single day at this particular time. It's just more understanding this does that, this does this, that does this does that. And once you've gotten that understanding, because you've done it for a while, you've looked into it, you can leave it alone. You know what you're doing, and you can just go from there. So I feel like calorie counting gets a bad rap because people think of it as this extreme thing that you do for the rest of you don't. You do it for a while just to get a better understanding of what's in certain foods, how much you need to be eating of those foods, how frequently you need to be eating those foods, along with what your activity levels are like. Once you've got that understanding, you're fine.